Hi, my name is Nicole. Welcome to my channel, Travel to Money. In this video, I will be sharing about having money stolen from me in Turkey, lessons learned coming home, and how I finally used house sitting to help me save and make money. If you are new here, I have created this channel to help you learn about how to travel, adventure, and have fun on the road to financial independence. I believe the road to financial freedom can and should be fun. I hope that you'll subscribe and join me on this journey no matter where you are starting from. Okay, so traveling home from Iraq was a very interesting experience. Of course, like any good story, it began by getting the flu about 2 days before departure. We traveled to Erbil by car for 2 hours the day before leaving. I spent the next 20 hours sick in my hotel room. The following day, I shared a cab with another American and went through multiple checkpoints and pat-downs at the airport. I had an overnight layover in Turkey where I had booked a nice hotel because I really just wanted a good night of sleep and a shower. When I arrived in Turkey, I waited in an hour-long line at passport control. I was sick, tired, and highly annoyed as the man standing behind me had no awareness of personal space and I could feel his hot breath on my neck. When it was finally my turn, I was told that I needed a visa and that I'd have to go back into the airport and obtain one before being able to go through passport control. Worst of all, I'd have to wait in that hour-long line again. All the visa really was around a $25 charge to enter the country. After finally exiting the airport, I looked around outside. I felt too ill to figure out the airport shuttle, and I saw so many cabs, so I decided to take one since my hotel was just a 5-minute drive. I figured at the very worst the cab ride would be like $10. The cab driver spoke a bit of English and he talked to me along the way, even though I had no desire to be speaking at that point. He pulled up on the side of the hotel near a gas station. I pulled out my passport book because I had some cash in there, and as I was sorting through the cash, handing him a 20, he said no, and then said something about bigger. I was thinking, what? There is no way that cab ride should cost more than $20. I looked back at the cash in my hand, and he grabbed all of the cash from me, which was about $350, pretending to help me. I was sitting in the back seat, and he held the money in front of the passenger seat just out of my sight. I could see him dropping large bills onto the seat in front of me. He handed me the money back. I counted it, and I believe it was about $150 less than what I had before. I said to him, "Give me my money back." He pretended like he didn't understand. I got louder. "Give me my money back." He still pretends not to understand and hands me 2 $1 bills as if that is what he had taken. I responded, "I didn't have any $1 bills. I saw you drop my money into the seat. Give me my money back." I could feel myself becoming uncontrollably angry as my voice got louder and louder. Now he knew there was no fixing this, so he got angry, got out of the car, opened the back seat on the other side from me, took my bag out of the car and set it on the side of the road. I had to talk myself down a bit because I honestly wanted to punch him. I was saying to myself, "Nicole, don't go to jail in Turkey. Don't go to jail in Turkey." I got out of the car shaking in anger as he was getting back into the driver's seat, and I slammed the door while yelling, "Thief!" Honestly, I don't even care that much about the loss of the money. I try to have a pretty giving nature and not to be uptight when unexpected expenses come up. But this was a play on my pride. I hated that he took advantage of me, and I really hated feeling helpless about it. I did my best to memorize his license plate as he drove off. I checked into the hotel and asked for help reporting him, which they did their best to help me with. When I got to my room, I showered, but I couldn't sleep. I kept sitting up in the bed in anger. I had totally lost my mental handle on the situation. Now I was even more angry that this guy was not only getting my money, but my sleep. I could not chill. After a sleepless night, I took a shower and realized at some point that Uber is available in Turkey. I was kicking myself for not checking that before taking a cab the night before. Fresh and ready for over 24 hours more of travel, I went to the lobby of the hotel to wait for the Uber. For some reason, the driver couldn't figure out how to get to my side of the highway that was near the hotel. Finally, I realized that I was going to have to walk up the road and over the highway to where he was. It was drizzling and muggy outside. I was walking with my heavy backpack as fast as I could, going up the stairs to cross the highway. I was now sweating and beginning to soak my clothes that I needed to wear for the next full day. When I finally got into the van, I climbed in the back and felt the full blow of heat coming out of the air vents. The sweating worsened. I was trying to explain to the driver so that he would put on the air, but he pulled over thinking I was trying to give him different directions. Finally, he realized and put on the AC, but at this point, I was just stewing in my own sweat. I went through probably 5 checkpoints at the airport in Istanbul, had a flight to London, another 6-hour layover where I got 45 minutes of sleep, and then a flight to Orlando. When I landed in Orlando, we all stood up to get off the plane. My friend and my favorite little person in the world were going to be there to greet me. I couldn't wait to get off the plane. I grabbed my carry-on and waited for the doors to open, but it was taking forever. My phone rang, and the friend who was at the airport to get me let me know that there was a gunman at the airport and all traffic had been shut off. A few minutes later, they finally opened the door to the plane, and the passengers were greeted by 2 airline employees, letting us know that we wouldn't be able to deboard. At this point, I hadn't slept in over 40 hours, with the exception of a couple of small naps, and I still wasn't well. We sat on the plane for a while until they eventually told us we could exit. I was the second or third person off the plane. The pilot had announced where we would be getting our baggage. I got to baggage claim and sat there for what seemed to be forever. I sat on the floor. I didn't care. I could hardly hold my head up. This was obviously not the place we were supposed to get our baggage, but they had an entire terminal shut down due to the gunman incident, and no one seemed to know what was going on with anything. Finally, I had enough. I couldn't stay awake any longer. My poor friends had been waiting for 2 hours at this point also. I got in the car with them and we took off for home about 45 minutes away. 30 minutes into the drive, I received a call from the airport. They let me know that I needed to come and collect my bag at customs. I explained that I had left and that I would get it the next day. They said no and told me I needed to come for it right away and that there was someone waiting to escort me. I was wishing that I hadn't answered that call. Upon return to the airport, I laid my head on the counter. I couldn't hold myself up anymore. A woman came and took me back through security, then on the shuttle, and then into a hallway where she called a customs officer. The officer came to meet us and escorted us through an employee area and then into an office where he had my bag. He helped me put it on and then very seriously said, "Thank you for coming to get the bag," as if I had just helped with an important matter of national security. When I finally made it to my friend's house, I think I probably slept for 20 hours. So far, that tops the list for the worst experience traveling back home. So I'm back in the States. It was wonderful to see the people I love. Within a day or 2 of being back though, I wished that I was still traveling. I don't know if anyone else struggles with this, but I always want to be on an adventure, and I just as desperately want to hug my people. My house was still being rented out on Airbnb, and I was making far too much money from that to consider canceling any of the reservations. At some point, I remembered the house sitting sites that I had signed up for. You all may remember in one of my first videos, I talked about a blog I read by a girl who used house sitting to travel the world on the cheap, living on as little as $14,000 per year. I always intended to use house sitting for the purpose of traveling, but I had never thought about using house sitting at home. On one of the site's trusted house sitters, I found a couple who was looking for someone to watch their cats for 2 months. They had a beautiful home with a lake view and a long dock out to the water. Because I lived locally and had a car, this made me an ideal candidate. So while I was making over $3,000 a month renting out my house, I was living for free in a beautiful home that overlooked the water. I felt like I had figured something incredible out. Imagine if you had a look at house sitting opportunities near you and you found a long-term house sit in your local area, let's say for 2 or 3 months. You could arrange to live for free by house sitting and then use your own residence as a vacation rental, bringing in a hefty profit. Now, just about anyone can do this, but I think it's probably a bit easier to win the house sitting opportunities if you are a couple or single. It may be a bit more difficult if you have a whole family, but still not impossible. I also want to remind you quickly that house sitting is usually pet sitting, and you should only do this if you genuinely love animals. In the description, I will put a link to trusted house sitters and some of the other awesome sites I've used for house sitting. In the next video, I'll share with you about a quick 10-day vacation trip to Croatia with a friend and what it was like hopping the country in hostels. If this video has helped you even a little bit, let me know by liking it and subscribe to catch the next video and join me on this journey where travel and adventure build financial freedom. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see where your dreams will take you.